The Irishman is directed by Martin Scorcese and stars Robert De Niro as a mob hitman who recalls his entire life from start to finish as a mobster, who also involves the life of Jimmy Hoffa. So thanks to my local independent picture story house, I have the ability to actually review this movie for you guys. I was not actually at the London Film Festival to see The Irishman in Leicester Square at the premiere last night, but I was able to actually catch the movie via a live stream, which a lot of cinemas were doing around the country to basically broadcast the movie to people who couldn't make it to London, such as myself. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the festival next year. Couldn't quite do it this year. I thought maybe I could, but I couldn't this year. But at least I was able to get involved a little bit and see the closing ceremony and see this film as the final movie of the London Film Festival, and it's quite nice because it means I also get to review it for you guys nice and early. So let's start off with the performances in this film. Obviously, this film is very big, bringing in, three tycoons of the mobster movies, and that is, of course, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and also Al Pacino. So all three of these guys do incredible work in this film. They're all great. De Niro is fantastic, of course. Joe Pesci, who came out of retirement for this film, really well done, really well handled. And Al Pacino, probably the standout of the three. I mean, I'm a big Pacino fan, but he's really good in this movie. I really like his character, his portrayal of Jimmy Hoffa. It's just very entertaining. It's a very enthralling performance to watch. And I think all three of them across the board do a really fantastic job with the script and with the acting side of it. I think, these three are legends, especially in this particular genre, so to see them really put some heart and soul into this movie and really, come together for this kind of culmination film, if you will, it's nice to see. And of course, this film has digitally de-aged all three of those actors, and also most of the actors in this movie at certain points. You get to see the de-aging of Robert De Niro, as well as Al Pacino and Joe Pesci. They are all digitally de-aged throughout different parts of their life in this film, and the de-aging is pretty great here in this film. I mean, we've seen kind of the lengths of digital de-aging these days. It's just gone to a point where it's fantastic now, whether you look at the Marvel movies or, recently Gemini Man, which are reviews coming for that very soon. And in this movie, you can just see it's practically flawless sometimes. There are a couple of shots, where it looks a bit off, and there are a couple of scenes that are a bit iffy. There's a particular scene with Robert De Niro kind of early on, which kind of really threw me off. It doesn't look like him at all. And there are times when it looks a bit plasticky, and it kind of reminded me of the Steve Carell movie, Welcome to Marwen, at the beginning of the year. It kind of looked like that a little bit, where it's like almost Uncanny Valley. But most of the time, it looks almost flawless. It's pretty fantastic stuff. And again, it really helps to authenticate this, lifelong story. Now, of course, bringing in Martin Scorcese to direct this film is just a tremendous idea, because obviously he is the king of this genre, working with these three actors. And I think from a filmmaking standpoint, this movie is absolutely top notch. I think that the movie has really great camera work, really great cinematography. It's shot really well. The shot composition's really nice. I just think from a filmmaking standpoint overall, and from a direction standpoint, I think that The Irishman is a true testament to why Martin Scorsese is the director as acclaimed as he is. You really get to see his talent on display here. We all know how great of a director Martin Scorsese is, but just seeing it here, really in his element with people who he knows and trusts, it just allowed him to flourish a little bit and just show, his abilities all on stage. Now, in saying all of that, I do have a couple of negatives with The Irishman, and I feel like The Irishman, while it is a great film, and it does a lot right, it doesn't particularly excel in any area either. Like I say, although the filmmaking is absolutely fantastic, it's not anything groundbreaking or new. All of the things we see in this film from Scorsese are things we've seen before in other Scorsese movies. It's not anything particularly new or fresh. Or when you look at the acting from Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci, yeah, they are all fantastic in this film, all three of them. But we've seen great acting from all three of them before, and their performances don't particularly stand out among their other movies. Or also, when you look at the digital de-aging in this film, which I also pointed out, yeah, the de-aging's fantastic in this movie, but we've seen great de-aging in other movies before. Like I mentioned, the Marvel movies, or here in Gemini Man very, very recently, we've seen very good de-aging before. So all the things that this movie does really well, it does well to its credit, but to really kind of put this movie above the level that it should be, it just doesn't really excel at anything to kind of put it to that level. And I feel like this film, again, extremely well made. It's well done. It's just not particularly exciting in any way because there's nothing new brought to the table. And honestly, I kind of feel like the movie was a tad uninteresting, especially at a point, and I'll come back to that. But the movie isn't boring. I was never bored by any point in this film, but it just kind of felt unengaging at times. It felt a bit just uninteresting to watch. Again, not boring. There's a key difference there. It's not boring. It's just a bit odd to watch, because you're sat there watching it and you're just like, yeah, I'm liking the story, I like the characters, but there's nothing particularly, again, exciting or innovative or fresh to really grab your attention and shake you and make you think, get you really involved in the movie. You're involved in the movie, you're involved in the story, but not in a way that you would be for any other kind of film where, there's something just fresh and exciting going on. And I know every movie isn't going to be super, super original, because that's extremely difficult these days, but the base level of this film, it really surprised me, because I was hearing a lot of fantastic things going into The Irishman, and there wasn't really anything new or exciting to really make this film interesting or exciting as it probably should have been. And of course, a big scare going into this movie was the 3.5-hour runtime. And although I was okay with it, again, I was never bored throughout this film. I was able to stay perfectly content throughout the 3.5 hours. It was just no need to be that long. There was no need for it. I mean, I know Scorsese movies typically are around 3 hours, but it really just felt like he did it for the sake of it, because when you get to around the 2-hour mark, when you kind of go into the third act, I just feel like the film takes a turn and it kind of reaches a point where it's kind of unnecessary. Like, the film could have ended much earlier than it needed to, or it should have ended much earlier than it did, because it gets to a point where the characters are at a certain point, the story's at a certain point, and it's just not engaging anymore, because that part of the story just isn't particularly relevant, especially because right from the very beginning we see where the characters end up. So you're kind of just like, well, we're just kind of waiting for us to get to that point, and it's not really interesting to get to that point. We've done all the interesting bits, the rest of it's just filler at this point to get to that end game. And I just think it's really ridiculous that Martin Scorsese just felt like he could just extend the runtime for an extra hour and a half just because he had these great actors and he's Martin Scorsese. He felt like he could do that, and it just kind of came across as a bit preachy to me, in the sense that he is, he knows he's a great director and he feels like he has the ability to do it, but I feel like no matter how good of a director you are, you can't really just extend the movie for no reason. Like, my favorite movie, as you can see up here, Blade Runner 2049, I mean, that movie's close to 3 hours, but I wouldn't watch 3.5 hours of that movie, and I feel like, that film has a lot more going for it than this film does, so to extend the movie to such a length, it just felt unnecessary, it was unneeded, it was unwarranted, and I don't really feel like it added anything to the movie. In fact, it maybe took away from it. Overall, it was fantastic to watch The Irishman in cinemas. I didn't think I was going to get the chance to do that. Of course, this is a Netflix movie, so getting the chance to see it in cinemas was a great opportunity. I was really happy to see it. The acting is fantastic from all parties. I feel like the digital de-aging is a particular standout. Martin Scorsese once again proves how fantabulous of a director he is. But I just feel like this film, while it does have a lot going for it, it does do a lot right, there's nothing in particular that really makes this film stand out either, which makes it come across as a bit of a just good movie, great movie, but not particularly exciting either. It's one of those films that I came out of it without really much of an emotional reaction. I kind of came out just a bit, yeah, I just saw a movie and that was that, and it didn't really add much beyond that. So overall, I think The Irishman, it is a great film. It's very well made, it's very well shot, it's very well acted, but it's just not particularly revolutionary, and I feel like that this film is being a bit overhyped in that sense. So with that said, I'm going to give The Irishman a 7 out of 10. So have you guys seen The Irishman? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again next time.